Hi everyone and welcome. My name is Sarah and I'll be guiding you through your class here today. So today's class is a time conscious class. So most classes I usually do are about 45 minutes to an hour. So this one's a little bit quicker than that. So if you're a bit pressed for time or you're just wanting something that's a little bit less commitment based in terms of your day, this is a great class for you. This one has been designed predominantly around the hips and a little bit of balance today. So we're going to begin in Balasana in child's pose. So having some blocks and any props that you like to use close by as well, off to the side of the mat so they're accessible. And you've got a couple of variations. You can take the knees out wide, coming to sit onto the hips, finding a wide-legged child's pose, walking the hands out ahead of you. Or if you want to, you can take the more traditional pose version where you're bringing the knees together, sending the hands back behind you. And then come to settle in where you've chosen. So your variation of your child's pose, either knees together or wide, knees apart. Taking a moment here to settle into the body. And coming to maybe tune in slightly into the hips, the knees, the ankles, just noticing the bends, the creases, the points of the bodies that connect beneath you. Maybe bringing some awareness to the palms or the backs of the hands depending where they're facing. And just connecting the body to the present moment. And bringing some awareness maybe to the rib cage as it expands, as it contracts against the breath, as this inhale and exhale is allowing the ribs to move in and out. Maybe taking that awareness from the body to the breath. And bringing your observation to the breath as it flows in and out of the body. Not changing or forcing anything, just observing as it comes in and out. And then if you are in your traditional Balasana, arms behind you, knees together, come to find your wide-legged Balasana, your wide-legged child's pose. Sending the arms out ahead of you. And taking another conscious round of breath here for inhale, for exhale. And then once we've all made our way into arms extended, coming onto the fingertips, lifting the forearms off of the mat. Really push into the fingertips, maybe walk the fingertips away from you towards the top of the mat, finding that length through the side body, through the armpits. And then come to lift the forehead up ever so slightly. Come to place that left palm down towards the mat as you then drag the right hand towards the body. As it comes towards the body, take it through to the left side, through to that space, coming to thread the needle. Maybe the head comes down and the gaze turns down the right palm, or maybe you're keeping the forehead down to the mat. I'm just finding a variation of a thread the needle here. Taking one full round of inhale and exhale. On the next breath, bringing the right hand back through center, extending long. Take a full round of inhale and exhale here with both arms extended in your child's pose. On the next breath, dragging that left arm down to, coming onto the fingertips to begin with, lifting the forearms, lifting the forehead, finding that active child's pose. And then placing the right palm down, forearm still floating, come to drag the left hand down towards the middle of the body, And then send that left arm through the right space, coming to thread the needle. Coming to either turn the gaze down the left palm or keeping forehead to the mat. Taking a full round of inhale and exhale where you are. And then on the next breath, drawing that arm back through center, extending long, taking a full round of inhale, exhale. On the next breath, coming up to rise, coming to find tabletop. Drawing the knees underneath the hips, hands underneath the shoulders or thereabouts. Gaze is down towards the earth. And then on your next breath, draw the heels back to your hips back towards the heels, finding child's pose. And this time, drag the right hand all the way down to the right ankle. On the next breath, we're going to come up to rise. As we do so, drag that right hand along the mat to the top, circle it up wide. Chest might turn out towards the right side, draw hips back, child's pose. Take that 2 more times. As you come up into tabletop, drag the right arm forward, circle it up and round, coming back to child's pose. Taking 1 more round like this with your breath. Coming up to rise, circling the arm, draw hips back. And send that right arm back towards the front of the mat. Take a full round of breath here. And then slowly start to drag that left hand to the left ankle. On the next breath, as you come up to rise through tabletop, drag the left hand along the mat, then circle it up wide. Maybe the chest turns slightly towards the left as you then draw the hips back towards the heels, the left hand to left heel. Coming back up, rising, circling the arm wide. And finding child's pose. Taking 1 more round, linking your breath with your movement. Coming up, circling the arm up, nice and wide. And then sending that left arm back in front of you, coming up to rise through tabletop. And drawing both knees in towards one another so that the knees are touching or thereabouts, hands underneath the shoulders or thereabouts. And then come to lift this right knee. So we're coming to find like a clamshell essentially. So right knee is coming up so that it's roughly in line with the right hip. It might not necessarily make it all that way, maybe it's a little bit lower. And then we're going to just take some little circles out through the hips. And think about really sending that heel towards the glute to find a sense of compression, a sense of activation. And then come to find some stillness, still with that tuck, and extend that leg out towards the side. Really flex the toes towards the body. So the heel is hovering in line with the hip or thereabouts. And then come to lower that foot down towards the earth. Toes are facing roughly forward. And then start to take some rocks backwards and forwards. So we're in this gate kind of pose. If you're wanting something a bit extra, maybe you turn those right toes up to face the ceiling so that then you're now on the heel as you then rock backwards and forwards. That might come into the hamstrings a little bit more, into the hip joint for you. Just taking those rocks backwards and forwards. Maybe you find some stillness in a place that feels like it wants a little bit of extra attention. Coming forward. And then come to gather everything back into the centre. So take that right knee back in towards the left knee. Just take a moment here, maybe notice what there might be to notice in terms of your right versus your left. Not making any judgments, just observing how the right side might feel a little bit different in comparison to the left. Now that we've brought a little bit of engagement in there, a bit of activation. So on your next breath, drawing knees in towards one another, come to lift the left knee up towards about hip height. So in fitness, they call these fire hydrants. So I suppose it's kind of almost like a scorpion as well in yoga. And then taking those little hip circles, if that feels good for you. Try to keep the body central so we're not leaning essentially over towards the right. That means lowering the hip down a bit. Feel free to do so. And then come to extend that leg long, so flexing the left toes towards the face, lower the foot down. Toes are facing roughly forwards, and then taking those rocks backwards and forwards. If you're wanting something a bit more additional, you can turn the toes up to face the ceiling, coming onto the heel, and take those rocks. Ooh, and then listen to any little knee cracks that might come. Okie dokie. And then gathering that knee back in towards the other knee, coming off the wrist for a moment, taking a nice round of inhale and exhale here. And when you feel ready, coming back into your tabletop, taking the hands a handprint ahead of the shoulders, tucking the toes under, and then lifting the hips up and back, finding downward facing dog. Maybe pedaling out the feet here, bending through one knee, straightening the other, moving with your breath, your pace, your rhythm. And then when you feel ready, we're coming back to find that tabletop, so rippling all the way forward, lowering the knees down. Maybe they tap before sending the hips up and back to downward facing dog again. You'll take that 2 more times. So coming all the way forward, rippling forward into a plank, coming into that tabletop, maybe the knees tap before lifting the hips up and back for downward facing dog. Taking one more round, rippling forward, lowering the knees, maybe they tap before coming to lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. And then once you've found your downward facing dog, just taking a moment to settle in and adjust. Allow the gaze to come to the back of the room. The feet are about hip width apart. Maybe you're exploring, turning the toes out, forwards, side to side, working with your anatomy. Same with the hands. Just allowing the weight to be evenly distributed between the legs and the hands. Maybe there's a generous bend in the knees to create space through the back of the legs and the spine. And then you might like to stay here, or maybe you're coming to sit on the backs of the heels. But we're going to add on here. So we're coming to find a downward facing dog twist. Start to think about placing more weight in towards the left hand, as you then slowly start to drag the right hand towards the middle of the mat. So it can either come to stay here, or you can take it all the way to the back of the mat, and maybe the hand comes to the ankle, or to the knee, or to the thigh. But we're finding a downward facing dog twist here. So the gaze can stay down, or it can come up over underneath maybe the left armpit. And coming back through centre, embracing any wobbles that might come. Take a round of breath here, maybe come down for a moment off the wrists. And then think about bringing this weight more into the left hand. Getting light through the left fingertips, drag the left palm in towards the middle. Maybe you stay here, or maybe you bring this hand so it's the right hip, right knee, right ankle, as you come to twist over towards the right side. Gaze might come under the armpit, and then coming to bring the hand back in front. Taking a round of breath here in downward facing dog. And from your downward facing dog, come to bring a really generous bend into the knees. Allow the chest to connect to the thighs. Straighten through the legs. Allowing still a micro bend in the knees. We're not locking out here, hyperextending. And then come to bend again. So we're bending and straightening, but we're not locking when we come to straighten. Just taking some moments to get into the back of the legs. Taking a few rounds here. Maybe there's a little bit of bounce going on. And then come to find some stillness. Coming down off the wrists for a moment, off of the shoulders. And finding your way back into downward facing dog when you're ready. And from your downward facing dog, coming to extend the right leg back behind you for three-legged dog. Allowing the heel of the left foot to be heavy, the right foot that is hovering, the toes are flexing towards the body, heel is kicking towards the room. And then on your next breath, draw the knee towards the chest. We're not going to step the foot through because we're going to step it to the outside of the right hand. So take the knee over towards the right. So we're hanging it, it's in mid-air right now. Take it over towards the right and then step the foot as gently as you can to the outside of the right hand. So we're now in this lizard lunge. So you can always use the blocks here to elevate yourself coming up ever so slightly. Maybe they're on the higher settings, just working with what works for you here. And think about really sending the heel towards the back of the room, that left heel to the back of the room. You're allowing there to be some sense of activation still through that back leg, so really switching on the quads, squeezing into the glutes. And this front knee is bent. Maybe you're taking some rocks backwards and forwards. And then adding on here, we're going to come to this right foot, come to roll onto the blade edge of the right foot. So you're sending the knee out ever so slightly, coming to wing the leg out towards the side. Maybe you're moving it in and out. And then bring the hands to the inside, bring the hands back down to the earth or to the blocks if they're not already. And then on your next breath, we're going to step that right foot back. If it doesn't want to step all the way back, you might drag it back. And we're in this plank, maybe you come to lower the knees down for a moment. Coming back up. And then coming to find downward facing dog. So we're going to move now between down dog and lizard lunge. So come to extend the leg back behind you for three-legged dog, that right leg still with the right leg. Bend the knee, bring the knee towards the chest, turn and angle the knee out, step that foot outside of the right hand for the lizard lunge. Send the foot back for plank pose, lower the knees if you need to. Lift hips up and back, down dog. I'm going to take that one more time. Three-legged dog with the right leg high. Bring the knee towards the chest. Angle the knee, right knee out towards the right long edge of the mat. Step the right foot to the outside of the right hand. Beautiful. And now this time, we're either on them blocks or we've got our hands to the earth. Start to think about sending some more energy into this back leg. So we're going to start rocking backwards and forwards ever so slightly. And then either bunny hopping, or completely just stepping this left foot towards the top of the mat. So we're in this kind of funky forward fold. Come to turn the toes, both toes out to face the long edge of the mat, heels facing inwards, and then lower the hips down for Malasana, for yogi squat. Bring the hands to heart center, elbows to the inside of the thighs to help draw the knees out. You can always bring a block underneath to help support here, and then find a round of breath here. Beautiful. Bringing the hands down to the earth, lift the hips up, turn the toes to face forward, finding a wide-legged forward fold here. Maybe it's a generous bend in the knees. Maybe take hold of opposite elbows, allow the head and neck to hang heavy, gazes towards the back of the room. Maybe you're taking some gentle little sways side to side. And then on your next breath, coming to heel toe the feet in towards one another so they're about hip width apart. Frame the feet, step the right foot back and then the left foot. Come to lift the hips up and back, finding downward facing dog. Taking a full round of breath here. On the next breath, extending that left leg back behind you now. Coming to find three-legged dog on the left side. The right heel is heavy, left heel is flexing to the back of the room. Toes are dialing down. Bend the knee, bring the knee towards the chest, and then start to angle that left knee out towards the long edge of the mat on the left side before gently stepping that left foot outside the left hand for lizard lunge. Either coming up onto those blocks, onto the fingertips, finding that sense of engagement through that back leg, allowing the quad to turn on, the glute. Really think about finding length. Maybe if you're up on them blocks, allowing the heart to slightly shine forward. gaze is forward. And then slowly start to come onto that left blade edge of the foot, winging the left knee out towards the side. You can always lower that back knee down as well if that's not your jam. And then when you feel ready, bringing that knee back through, and then come to firm into both hands, step the left foot back to meet the right foot, either staying in this plank or lowering the knees down, and then come to lift the hips up and back for down dog. And we're going to take that 3 times now. So come to lift that left leg back behind you, 3-legged dog. Bend the knee, bring the knee towards the chest, angle that knee out towards the left, step the foot down for lizard lunge. Take a round of breath. Step the left foot back to meet the right. Lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Come to send that left leg back behind you, 3-legged dog. Bend the knee, bring the knee towards the chest, angle the knee out, step that left foot outside, left hand, lizard lunge. Come to either drag that foot all the way back or step the foot back. Come to find that plank or knees down. Lift hips up and back, down dog. Last one, left leg up and back behind you, 3-legged dog. Bring knee towards the chest, angle knee out towards the left side, and then step that left foot outside the left hand. Finding your final round of lizard lunge. Start to rock backwards and forwards on that back leg as you then either bunny hop or step the foot, that right foot to meet the left foot at the top of the mat. So we're in this wide-legged fold here. Come to turn the toes out, heels face inwards, come to find Malasana, yogi squat. So you've got the elbows to the inside of the knees, chest is forward, gaze is slightly forward. We're sending the tailbone down towards the earth. Taking a round of breath here. And then come to place the hands either down to the earth or to blocks. Lift the hips up, finding forward fold. Taking a variation that suits you, maybe taking hold of opposite elbows, allowing that little bit of bounce and sway. Or maybe you've just got the hands down to the earth or to the blocks. Allowing head and neck to hang heavy here. And then coming to heel toe the feet in so that they're about hip width apart, rooting down the feet, coming up to rise. Circling the arms wide. And then draw the hands through heart center, hands beside the body for Tadasana. Taking a full round of breath here. Full inhale, full exhale. Beautiful. And then from where you are, really think about finding some groundingness through the feet, maybe bend through the knees and connect the mind to the big toe, the little toe, the heel of the foot. Feel the energy coming up through the calves, through the ankles, through the calves, through the thighs, through the knees. And then start to think about coming into, bringing the weight into the left foot, to the left standing leg. So we're starting to come onto the tippy toes ever so slightly of the right foot. So we're not lifting the right foot off of the mat just yet. We're just on the toes of the right foot. So we're kind of just lifting the heel off for now. And then from here, maybe the hands come to heart center. And once you feel like you've got a sense of engagement through that leg, really standing on that left leg, getting light through the right, firming in, maybe giving the glute a little squeeze. Start to slowly bring the right leg up to hover. You can either point or flex that right foot. It might not necessarily come off high off the ground, or it might come up higher. So if we are working with height, we're working at coming to about hip height. And then the hands at heart center, they can either stay here or they can come above the head. And then on the next breath, we're going to turn the torso over towards the right side. So we're coming to turn the torso towards the right, gaze might follow. And then coming back through center, staying with the balance, finding your focus. And then come to place the right foot down. Beautiful. Now bring the weight into the right foot. Start to come onto the left tippy toes. So we're just lifting the left heel to begin with, really firming down through that right foot. Think about that engagement through the legs, switching on the glutes, the quad, the calf. And then start to slowly lift the left knee to hover at a height that feels tolerable for you. It's challenging you, but it's not causing you to waver all over the place. Hands are at heart center above the head. And slowly start to twist the body until you come to turn over towards the left side. Taking a round of breath here. And then coming back through center. Come into place the left foot down to meet the right. Find Tadasana, take a round of breath here. Connect to the breath, connect to the body. Sometimes with balance we can grip, and when we grip sometimes we can disconnect from the breath. So connect back to the breath, connect back to the body. And then when you feel ready, send the hands up overhead. On your next breath, come to send this right leg back behind you, come into find crescent lunge. Taking a round of breath here, hands can always come to heart center if needed. Draw them to heart center if you haven't done so already. And then come to twist over towards the left side. So in this crescent lunge twist now. Come back through center. Send the hands up towards the sky. Slowly start to lean forward over the top of this left thigh as we slowly start to peel our way forward, and we're coming to hover the right knee. Coming up to a standing balance. So that left leg we're firming into, right knee is hovering. Twist slightly over towards the right side. Bring the foot back down, come back through center. Hands up towards the sky, send the left leg back behind you. Come into find crescent lunge here. Front knee is bent, left foot is extending to the back of the room, heel is kicking up towards the ceiling, finding that length through the back of the leg. You can always bend the back knee if you need more space. Draw the hands to heart center, twist over towards the right side. Come back through center, send hands up towards the sky. Slowly start to lean ever so slightly forward. As you do so, I'm going to start to get light through the back of the leg as we come up to stand. Bring that left knee up to what far height feels accessible for you, hands to heart center. Start to twist over towards the left side. Then coming back through center. Placing that left foot down to meet the right. We're going to take that one more time. Beautiful. Hands up towards the sky, send the right leg back behind you, crescent lunge. Hands to heart center. On the next breath, twist over towards the left side. Back through center. Hands above the head, slowly start to lean ever so slightly forward, and then start to bring the weight into that left leg as you come up to rise, lifting and hovering right knee, hands to heart center. Come to twist over towards the right side this time. Come back through center. Gently place the right foot down to meet the left. Hands up towards the sky. On your next breath, send that left leg back behind you, crescent lunge. Take a round of breath. Draw the hands to heart center. Slowly start to come to twist over towards the left side. Right side, sorry. And coming back through center. Send the hands above the head. Slowly start to lean ever so slightly forward, and then start to bring the weight into that right leg as you come up to stand and hover the left knee to the height that feels good for you. Hands to heart center. Twist and turn over towards the left side. Beautiful. Coming back through center, lowering. Hands beside the body for Tadasana. Taking a full round of inhale and exhale here. Circling the arms up towards the sky, draw the hands through heart center. As the hands come to heart center, slowly start to bend through the knees. And we're coming to find a slight little toe squat, not a slight little toe squat, we're coming to find a toe squat. So slowly lower yourself all the way down. If the hands need to come to blocks, bring them to blocks. Allow that support or keep the hands at heart center. And allow the knees to come towards one another to help that sense of energy, that sense of engagement through the legs. And then you can either bring the hands beside the hips or hands to blocks to help you down, or you can keep the hands to heart center or take them out ahead of you as you bring the heels down and slowly lower yourself down to a seat. And come to extend the legs long in front of you, removing any fleshy parts from underneath the sit bones, draw legs in towards one another. You can always have a blanket underneath the hips here. Coming to sit on the edge of the blanket to help create a slight pelvic tilt to create some space in the low back. I'm going to flex the toes towards the face, bring a slight sense of lift through the heels. Send the hands up towards the sky and then bring them to the outside of the hips. You can either slowly start to walk the hands maybe forward, or maybe hands come back behind you to help bring you forward to find your Paschimottanasana, your forward fold. You can always bend the knees to help create a little bit of space here for you. You can have blocks beside you, maybe the forearms come down. Just taking a more restorative version of your forward fold here. We're looking for more length through the back of the spine as opposed to dumping and rounding. If that means not going down as far forward, just listening to the body and moving intuitively here for you. And taking 2 more rounds of breath where you are. And then very slowly coming up to rise. Taking your time to unravel, to come up. Bringing the hands back behind you, maybe a slight lean back. And then come to bend through the legs. Scoot the hips towards the heels. Come to lower yourself all the way down. Bring knees in towards the chest, giving them a little squeeze, maybe a little rock side to side. And then bring the feet back down to the earth. Take the feet as wide as the mat. Allow the knees to knock into one another for a restorative pose. Hands can be beside the body, palms might be facing up or down, or maybe they're on the body. And come to gently close down the eyes or take a soft gaze. Connecting back to the breath. Allowing the breath to be fluid. Just allowing your observation to focus on the breath as it comes in and out. Maintaining that focus with the breath, observing the ebb and flow as it comes in and out. Observing that prana, that energy, that life force. The mind wanders. Gently acknowledge where it's gone and kindly bring it back to the breath. If it helps, maybe you anchor your awareness to where the breath is in the body, to where you feel it most. Maybe that's the chest, the abdomen, the air as it comes in and out of the nostrils. Beautiful. And then very gently start to walk your feet in towards one another so the knees are touching. Come to roll over to one side, take a round of conscious breath here, full inhale, full exhale. Be mindful not to rush. And coming up when you feel ready. Trying to find your seat, drawing the hands to heart center. Drawing the thumbs in towards the sternum, spreading the fingers, creating some pressure, really pushing into the hands. Maybe closing down the eyes or taking a soft gaze. And taking a moment in gratitude to yourself for your efforts, your energy, your time here today. From my heart to yours, it was a true honor to guide you. I wish you a beautiful day or evening ahead. From my heart to yours. Thank you.